Today, in most parts of the world, we live in an abundance of food, and we don't think about how and for how many miles the food has traveled to get to our local grocery store. At least, we didn't until a global pandemic came along and made the shelves look like this for a week or so. This is a Swedish apple, grown not too far from here. It was harvested, put in a box and loaded onto a truck and sent to a warehouse, where it was mixed and matched with other fruits and vegetables to fulfill the order from my local grocery store. And then it was waiting on a shelf for me to come and pick it up this morning. And this is Nässjö. With a population of around 15,000 people, it just makes it into the top 100 of cities in Sweden. It is not in the middle of nowhere, but it is certainly not a metropolis. So the question for today is, from how many nations can I find food and drinks in this small city? So Nässjö has 4 major chain grocery stores and a couple of smaller, more regional ones, as well as a state-run liquor store. We are currently in the parking lot of Willys, which will be our first stop. It is a low-price chain, so hopefully we will be able to pick up a bunch of nations here without spending too much money. And this is Samuel. He is, apart from being my driver today, my sneaky photographer. We don't have permission to film in any of these stores, so probably the footage from inside will be a bit shaky, but we will go through the findings afterwards. So let's go over some rules. We have to buy one thing from each nation. It has to be edible or drinkable. It has to be clearly marked with its origin, either where it was produced or where it was packaged. It can be a processed food, but then the whole product or a major ingredient must be from the country in question. Plain EU or non-EU labeling does not count. And final rule, nothing is going to waste. We have to eat or drink everything we buy today. Probably not on camera though. So we have a list of nations, so we can keep track of what we're doing. Are we ready?
We're ready.
The pandemic in a way changed the way I look at the food I buy. Maybe it was a result of me working in a store during that time, but seeing how items went away due to shortages or other problems down the production line, to come back to the inventory only for other items to go away, sometimes for months on end, made me realize how vulnerable the global production and transportation chains really are. This is our result on a map. We covered most of Europe and much of North and South America. The coverage in Asia and Africa is more mixed, but still quite a few nations. Australia and New Zealand is covered, but no more of the islands in Oceania. In total, we found food from 96 different nations, basically every other nation on Earth. And considering that maybe around half of the nations that we didn't find are microstates or small island nations in Oceania or the Caribbean, or some of the poorest nations on Earth, I'd say that is a staggering result. Going into this, I thought that 50 nations would probably be doable. Doing some research beforehand, I put my guess at around 70 nations. So to make it almost to 100 was a surprise for me too. Some of these nations were less expected than others, not the least Somalia, Iraq and Afghanistan. We also found some of the poorer nations in Africa like Burkina Faso, the DRC and Mozambique. We did, for obvious reasons doing this experiment in 2022, not find any Russian products. Some of the items were a bit more unusual for my taste buds, like these mung beans, both from Uzbekistan and from Venezuela, as well as whatever is in this Macedonian spice mix. But maybe this Icelandic Cod Liver takes the prize. We did also do this in the summer, so quite a big share of the fruits and vegetables in the stores were domestic. But in the winter I think those mainly would have been from Spain or Italy, so it would probably not have made that big of a difference. We should also note that a lot of the fish and seafood products are without national origin, but labeled with the part of the ocean it originates from. Maybe that is another video to do in the future. The big thing to mention here is that we have almost exclusively gone with what we could find clearly labeled with its country of origin. There are most certainly a bunch of other nations that we could have gotten if the producers were forced to label all products the same way that meat and fresh fruits and vegetables must be. It would be interesting to do the same experiment in a larger city, so if you like this video, let me know in the comments below. We will end by looking at all the things that we bought and where they are from.
Tycker du?
Jag tycker det.
Ja, det var lite fint.
För luktar.
Jag ser inte på mig någon bort, så jag är inte helt säker. Men jag har ju ätit det på spett.